So while we get on and talk to get my video on, just wanted to give you an understanding of where we are today. Uh, making making adversity your best friend, finding problems to answers, making friends with strangers to build dreams, traveling on a path untrodden, standing on the sidelines but yet basking in the spotlight, taking the impossible and saying, I am possible, is what the DNA of an event manager is made of. If there is a resilient, hopeful, emphatic community of believers in this current context of life, it has to be an event manager's community. And today I have the privilege of bringing on someone who has always been the spark in someone's dark life, Roshan. I picked this line from your wife, so apologize, but yes, it suits you perfectly. There's been many adjectives to Roshan, and to describe him in one word is very difficult. However, enough has been said on the World Wide Web and outside about him. But as a fanboy, I can just tell you one thing, that I have one word of describing him: an agile man. A man who has been ahead of his times, and in his agility of being a creative genius, who has gone ahead of his time and made himself the most go-to man for many who know him and the many who have continued to work with him or for him. Welcome, Mr. Roshan Abbas, to this webinar by Whistling Woods International School of Event Management. We couldn't have had a better go-to mentor to talk to us today and take us through the journey of an eventful future that lies ahead of us. So glad and absolutely excited to see you here, Roshan.
Really happy to be here, Jatin. It's so good. I often bump across you only on social media, so this is an opportune moment to meet online.
So Roshan, while we get others initiated into the Roshan fan club, which I am probably the flag bearer today.
Right.
Can we take a brief dip into the genius brain that ticks away inside you? Tell us a little about your journey from the quiet lanes of Lucknow to the buzzing streets of Mumbai. A line I heard from you elsewhere: the MA to ME wala journey.
So to everybody who's listening, thank you firstly for joining in. I come from a very small city called Lucknow. Yogi Ji would not be happy for me calling it small, but it is still small in comparison. I studied in La Martiniere. My parents are both teachers. My father, retired while teaching electrical engineering. My mother was originally a college secretary, and then after that she became a person who was teaching history. And the two things I actually picked up from them, from my father, I genuinely picked my creative side, because while he was an electrical engineer, he was a huge lover of the arts. So listening to ghazals, watching television shows, going to museums, art galleries, seeing a Sunday morning English movie show, which in the early 80s was a very unique thing. People didn't go. But like my father inculcated all these things. And so I got my creative genes from there. And my mother has been the most diligent doer. And sometimes creative people end up just thinking ideas and not implementing them. My mother is a doer. My mother, just to give you an example, we had a family case that had been running for 18 years, one of those family disputes over property. And we'd been to multiple lawyers, and my mother was quite upset at the fact that none of the lawyers was going to solve it. So I think at the age of 55, she took up law. She finished a law degree, became a lawyer, fought the case and won it, and then gave it up. But, when you come from that kind of a background, I think you have got creativity, diligence, and this attitude to do. And I took this forward because whether it was in junior school or, fast forwarding, I was in class 9th when there was a debating contest happening. And when I came for it, people said, only class 11th and 12th children go into the school debating team. And I just went into and asked the teacher saying, is there a rule like this? He said, no, people presume there is a rule. Very often we presume barriers that don't exist. And I've always questioned barriers. I've questioned convention. I'm deadly against rigid norms of doing things. So that questioning nature just helped me in good stead. And, I finished that. I did a lot of theater. I did a lot of debating, a little bit of singing, a little bit of quizzing in school. And I was actually hell-bent on being a doctor. I loved biology. Even today, I love biology. And it reached a stage where I finally had to make a choice between theater and biology. It was very easy because on one side, there were dead frogs, which if you dissected them, didn't clap for you. And on the other side, if there was a dead audience and you gave them something exciting, they would clap for you. And I told my parents, saying, the applause is so much more fun. And again, my parents are we come from a very middle class, educated middle class, which considers itself to be rich in knowledge, if not in money. And my parents were very honest and open, and they told me at the end of class 10, when I was making this journey about not doing science and moving towards the arts, my dad just came and said, listen, we have our combined savings are 4 lakh rupees for you and your sister. This is for your sister to get married. This is for you to get your education. And after this, we do not have any capacity to stretch. So within this boundary, do what you want. And I keep telling people that sometimes having set limitations is a great goal, because I knew that I had a ticking clock. So when I came to Delhi, I got into Hindu college on my own. I got into English honors. When they told me I was a little below the cutoff and they were like, what are you going to do? I said, no, I said, I'll win every trophy for you. And they were like, really? I said, no, I'm telling you, I'm a good debater, but I can't prove it to you right now, but I'll prove it to you. And I made it a goal. And 3 years in college, in the first year, I won every debate there was in Delhi University. I won the Mukherjee Memorial, the Frank Thakurdas, you name it. And my principal, in fact, called me and said, listen, you just concentrate on winning these trophies. We're okay. We don't need you to do too many classes. So unfortunately, while I know I'm talking to many students, I in college didn't pay so much attention to class only again because I had some great teachers, but I had a vice principal in school who was brilliant. And he made Shakespeare so exciting for me that no one was ever able to create the love for theatre and language that he created in me, Mr. Elton D'Souza. So I just couldn't compare his teaching experience to college. So I took life to be a better experience. And I would do all these debates, etc. Fortunately, I found Amir Raza Hussain as a theatre director who professionally honed me. 15 minutes before this call, somebody was talking to me about targets and delivery. And I said, guys, I've just learned one thing. Amir used to give us 1,000 posters to put up for the play over a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And we'd go and put them up. And, being college students, we'd put up 100, put up 200, and somebody would say, kal laga denge, and whatever. Amir would go the next day and check those places where we'd put up posters and would actually count. And then he would come back and say, you all didn't put enough. And we'd try and maro some bhaji and whatever. Then he would ultimately come to us. And if the audience didn't come, he says, no, it's not the number you put up. It's the number that stayed. It's not the number that stayed. It's the number of them that attracted people to come in. So I think life is a great teacher, and theatre was a great teacher as well. From there, I jumped to mass communication, which was a natural progression, though mass communication had just started. And I was at the MCRC in Delhi. Shah Rukh was my senior by 3 years, which I utilized later in my life. But the joy of it was that when I went to mass communication, let me tell you, for all of you who are looking at event management as a career, or any of these modern careers of communication, digital, etc., and when people turn to you and say, "Ye kya hota hai?" In those days, मुझसे भी यही पूछा जाता था कि ये क्या होता है? What is this? What are you going to do? Are you going to work for All India Radio or for Doordarshan? Because those were the only two options. But I just had this big belief that I will find my way. So I studied. Again, sorry, I'm one for many quotes. So my father once actually told me that, knowledge is a key that life gives you. You don't know what it will help you unlock when. And frankly, that education of college, my master's in mass communication, all that I learned, very often were the building blocks of what I did later. And that's how that journey happened. I came out from MassCom doing street theater and doing a little bit of theater. I still didn't know what job it was. I was offered a job as an editor in what became CNBC TV18, but was TV18 then. About 11 people in my class were offered a job at 5,000 rupees, which was very good money and security at that time. I had gone and married a classmate of mine 3 months after passing out. So I said, boss, mujhe to 10,000 rupees chahiye. So the job was not enough. And I think this not being enough, and I will never accept less than what I deserve. I know it's tough sometimes to say, but even at that stage, when I was offered that job, everybody told me security, It's so good. It's safe. I was like, no, it's not worth me. And the people who were offering it were my dear friends, Raghav Bahl and Sanjay Ray Chaudhary, people I knew well. But I was like, listen, I'll work with you at some stage in my life, but maybe not this. And so for 6 months, I tried everything. I did voiceovers, I wrote scripts, I tried to anchor a television show. After 3 episodes, I gave it up. And one night I listened to the radio, and there was a Mumbai-based radio jockey's show playing in Delhi. And I said, no, he doesn't sound as if he's from here. He sounds very knowledgeable, but he's not connecting with people. Next day, I took my bike, I went to All India Radio and wiggled my way inside. That's a story for another day because it's a story I often talk about. But I got in and I was on air in 3 days and my life just changed.
I know about this story, but as I said, we'll talk about this another day.
Sure.
So the whole journey of setting up Encompass, and of course, it's one of the largest, most known experiential company in India and across the globe. The new WPP angle that brought in geometry into the picture. You created an event and experiential company. You went on and created one of the best content companies in the business today. And then you went on to a creative journey and created a community of prose, poetry, and expression, Commune. So for the young startup, which is on this channel right now, or for the boy at the window with stars in his eyes, who's looking up and saying, hey, I want this to be my big break. What is that tools that I can pick up from Roshan's Pitara and say, this is what I need to do to get in the eventful future?
You're asking me to cover a 25-year journey in one question, but I'll try to do it. So Encompass happened because I was an MC. You must remember I had a radio and television career that was flourishing. In Delhi, there weren't too many well-known people. So I used to, by default, become the MC of all the big events. And there weren't too many agencies. And what I saw the agencies do was very well-meaning people trying to put things together and praying to God कि कुछ हो जाएगा. हम लोग मजाक करते थे उस जमाने में कि आधे इवेंट्स को भगवान चलाता है क्योंकि you never knew. आपने लाइट ला दी, साउंड ला दी, but you discovered something new that you had no idea about. So I found a gap. The need gap was there were people with ideas but with no delivery. Because of my theater background. Now see, I could have invested in someone and said, आपकी agency में पैसे डाल देता हूँ. Because of my theater background, I realized that what was the need gap was the understanding that theater gave us. How to put up a set, light, sounds, talent, scripting, music, artistry, design, costume, you name it. And with all these elements, because I knew people in these lines of work, I was able to aggregate them together and start off Encompass. So initially when we started, we only wanted to do entertainment shows. We realized that brands were boring and therefore they needed entertainment. So there was a big match. But then brands started pushing us saying, okay, you were able to engage with 200 dealers in a hall. Can you do it with an audience on the street? And the joy of events was that there was a new brief every day. It was never the same brief. It was never one more radio spot, one more television commercial. Because I think traditional advertising very often makes people lazy. It is digital and experiential, which is constantly thinking of new ways of doing things. So Encompass started with that. I realized over the many avatars of Encompass from 1997 to today, there were many avatars. So initially it was a very bhaichara based company, lots of friends, lots of family, sab log aa jao. Then we realized that what we lacked was systems. When we put in lots of systems, people reacted and said, oh, this is not the company I wanted to be a part of. You're too systematic, too many procedures. So we brought back the spirit. Then we found that there's a balance required between spirit and systems. We did that. And that became the mantra. The culture, the spirit, and the systems of Encompass became its uniqueness, plus its dint for creative ideas. We always wanted to do something creative. Now, this is what created Encompass. If you do great ideas, you deliver them with passion, you deliver more than you promised, and you do them without ripping people off. And I'm making a point here because many event people feel, "Arey, bahut achhi jagah hai paise banane ke liye." Everybody knows how much money you're making. Some decide to give it to you happily, some decide to give it to you grudgingly. So I just made it very transparent as much as I could. We were one of the first audited companies. We were one of the first companies that got ENY, etc., to come and look at our accounts, because we wanted to be very compliant. We wanted to be just straight up right. And when we did that, we made many mistakes along the way. So many of you, I mean, I'm not dwelling on that, but bahut galtiyan kari. But in 2008, there was WPP looking for somebody to partner. Now, when you partner, again, you must realize kyun partner karna hai. So by that time, we must have been about 50, 60 crores as a top line in 2008. But the reason for partnership was to sit equally at the table in a communication conversation with a brand. Otherwise, we were always treated as the outsider. We were the exciting part, but we came in, agar conference karni thi, convention karna tha, concert karna tha. And I was like, no, we are not that. We are a brand solution provider. So we wanted to partner with people who normally provided brand solutions to the advertising. So the marriage was obviously, in a sense, made in heaven. We got together. Colvin was a lovely person. Michael Meadle, Colvin, were all great people who we worked with. We realized that WPP had even more systems. And yes, there was a lot more paperwork, etc. But we again told our teams, accept this, see how it leads up. So this is how, you build processes, you continue with the passion, you continue with keeping an eye on the profits. And this kind of financial jurisprudence came to us via WPP. 2011, I had just finished my film and I didn't have money left to make the titles of my movie. And I was like, yaar, ye film ke titles kaise bante hain? So somebody took me to a studio where we were editing the film and said, inhone kuch banaye hain. They were horrible. I looked at them and said, yaar, meri film jayegi nahi screen par, lekin will not go with such bad titles. I need better titles. And I suddenly remembered that in one project at Encompass, we had used somebody to make some designs for the AV screen. And unlike conventional, slides, these slides had animations in them. So I asked the girl who did that, saying, who did the animations? She connected me to Varun and Rohit, who were already running Glitch. And Glitch had just started. I think they had just been 6 months into Glitch. They'd left their comfortable jobs and were starting this agency. So when I gave them the whole idea of saying, do you want to make film titles? They were very excited. I was also very honest. I said that मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, तो मैं तुम लोगों को 6 महीने तक खाना फ्री दे सकता हूँ. And I know they're many students, so I'll say this: दारू फ्री दे सकता हूँ और advice फ्री दे सकता हूँ. For 6 months, they were like, yes, why not? And for 6 months, I used to sit with them every week and advise them on what they did. I would keep telling them how Glitch reminded me of the early Encompass. And within 6 months, they told me, do you want to become a partner? Because we feel that we have used up all the time we had with you. They were lovely people. And I told them, I said, I don't know how to run a digital agency, you do. I do know how to build products. I do know how to build a brand. I do know how to build systems. So I'll do that. I went to WPP at that time to say, here is an agency. They were less than 1 crore in their top line. But, Colvin was very honest, saying they sound great, but they're too small because bigger agencies look for bigger acquisitions. I partnered with them. Also, when you partner with someone good, I was very happy to be a junior partner because they knew the business. There was no greed to own more than 50%, none of that. And I've always loved and respected them. 2 years into the agency, Pooja came along and Pooja met me. And, Pooja was at that time also dating Varun. But she came to me and said, listen, I want to tell you, I want to sit with you separately. And I was like, sure, what? And she said, listen, these guys are great with creative, but they don't get servicing and strategy. I know I can bring that as a talent and I'd love to be a part of this agency. She came on board. I had to have the difficult conversation with her saying that God forbid you don't perform, I will need to take a call. And sometimes difficult conversations people avoid. I didn't. She was so good at her work that in 6 months, she was head of client servicing. In another year, she was CEO of the company and now she runs it successfully. So that's how digital happened. Commune happened purely because there was a part of me that was unfulfilled. So the artist in me had given way to the businessman in me. And while I kept convincing myself that I am producing art, I was producing products for brands that were paying me. So I would always compromise on the art a little because brand को चाहिए. अब मुझे लग रहा है कि नीला कलर अच्छा है, उनको लाल चाहिए तो ले लो. You know, मुझे 1 मिनट का गाना अच्छा लग रहा है, उनको 3 मिनट का चाहिए. ठीक है. So, you know, I would compromise saying what me worry. But I kept saying that the artist inside me kept getting possibly not compromised as much as sidelined. And there was a glaring need I could feel. When I did the film between 2009 and 2011, I felt I'm fulfilling that glaring need. But 1 year into the creative process of the film, I realized that my producers and I had very different views on a film. Both could be absolutely right. Again, at some point, I started servicing them. I didn't follow, like I didn't stand up for my own creativity in some of the part of my film. And I was like, acha, aisa scene chalo, aisa chalega, aisa. And I didn't know the business. So I was honestly going by a lot of hearsay, goodwill, good intent. And they say the road to hell is paved with good intention. It was. When I came out in 2011, I had a film that was a hybrid. It wasn't my film. It wasn't the producer's film. Everything was a mix. And I honestly looked at it and said, yaar, ye kuch intent अच्छा था, लेकिन product फिर वही बन गया. थोड़ा सा, 80-20 हो गया. And audience rejects anything. I mean, if it has a big star, your believability factor of things that do not work goes up tremendously. But if there is no stars, your questioning ability for a film is even more. ऐसा क्यों किया, whatever. And I had no way to answer those questions. So I felt creatively dissatisfied, also felt a vacuum because you put everything. When you make a film, आप जी जान लगा देते हैं. मतलब वो 3 साल चाहे वो बनी जैसे, लेकिन आपने जी जान लगा दी. घर के कपड़े जो थे वो लेके आप जा रहे थे कि इसको ये पहना दो, ये कर दो, लोकेशन स्काउटिंग. It's a great process, but it's ultimately entering a casino saying today I think number 27 will work. You don't know. You just don't know. Right? I was watching a documentary on Money Heist last night, which said that after 2 seasons of Money Heist in Spain, the show shut down because Spanish audiences thought it was too much. But when Netflix picked it up, global audiences loved it. So तुम्हें पता नहीं होता है कि content क्या चलेगा, कैसे चलेगा, कब चलेगा. So coming out with this whole creative vacuum, I suddenly said, how do I fill this creative vacuum? And I had no answers. A bunch of my creative friends, Ankur Tiwari, Vikram Sathe, Gaurav Kapoor, Shaheen, my wife, other friends, they felt my vacuum and they said, come, let's go and watch a play. Come, let's sit and discuss poetry. Come, let's talk of our failures. And in that nurturing ecosystem, I found Commune because I just felt that it is very important for there to be a place where you can be honest, vulnerable, and 100% true to what you do. And that's how Commune happened. And Commune's growth is largely because of its authenticity and vulnerability and its ability to call out bullshit. We call out, like, I mean, sometimes we're given a brief saying, आप ये गुटखा बेच सकते हैं, हम नहीं बेचेंगे, चाहे जो हो जाए. Oh, there is this. Like, my team refused to work with a premium brand in the country saying, no, your view of women is not something we agree with. And I love that. I love the fact that the team can take those kind of calls. That's incredible.
So Commune has been one of the most, I would say, out of the world movements that you've created, Roshan. In fact, it set a lot of things differently to people. One is you've provided today one of the biggest expressions of voice, both in prose poetry and in literary arts, to a lot of people who would never have seen the light of the day because they never had a medium to express. So that thought and where we stand today, well, the world has slowed down. You have been the most aggressive, agile movers that I see on the worldwide platform.
Yeah.
You've always been the first mover's advantage in anything that has happened, especially in the experiential arena, whether it be the EMA initiatives or whether it be your own personal initiatives that you've taken. And one such initiative that you recently took up was the virtual play that you've just created. And it's gone bollocks. I mean, everyone is talking about it in the whole social circle. And going forward, I wanted to ask you particularly, where do these gems come from? Let's first get that sorted, and then we will get into Because it's a very important part of, future planning for someone, or future understanding, especially for the kids out here. How do you come up with these, and what inspired you to create the play?
So, if you don't mind, I wanted to share something with people. There is I made a very short, and I mean, I'm not going to bore people with the presentation, but this is when lockdown happened. How did we react? I made a small presentation on that I wanted to share with you and everyone. So I call this creative disruption. And the whole idea here was that, I mean, if you see this slide, it made me really laugh, because this is what everybody used to keep saying, "Arey, digital hoga, hoga, hoga." But again, I was telling you in our pre-conversation that Gaurav had told me very early, saying, "Listen, you and Ankur Tiwari as co-founders of Commune, all three of us are partners." He said, "Listen, you guys love stage. तुम वो गिटार बजाता है, तुम stage पर जाते हो, तुम्हें बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. But I do most of my work on digital. Please make Commune digital." And we worked on this, and that's why over the last 4 years, we built a online community, whether it's Instagram, whether it is on Facebook, whether it is on YouTube. So together we have approximately 1 million people across all of these platforms. Now the uniques in this is about 6.5 lakhs. So when you have 6.5 lakh unique people, you have an audience. So we had constantly built a digital audience. And one of my favorite books is this book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you all haven't read it, if any of you are out there and you haven't, this is a great book to read, because one day a man wakes up and in front of him standing is a spaceship, and some people who say, "Listen, I'm sorry, we are going to destroy the Earth." And the man says, "Why?" And he says, "No, actually we were making a highway across the universe and the Earth is coming in the way, so we have to destroy it." And this guy's like, "What's going on?" And suddenly he picks up a towel and the towel transports him. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. But it suddenly takes this man from Earth to the universe, and he's going across the galaxy. And the two words that make this book unique are the words "don't panic." So firstly, when lockdown happened, most people had this thing of just panicking. Remove employees, cut salaries, close your place. Never panic. Always remember, there is a philosophy called VUCA that I talk about often, which the American Army had come up with. It says that nowadays when the American Army goes, it's not the way the Second World War was fought. It's the way post-Vietnam War, when Afghanistan war happened, they said this is a VUCA world. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's chaotic, it's ambiguous. And each of these requires a different solution. So the kind of solution was, so we were just about to go on the road with this Spotify, big pitch fest, going to 5 cities, getting ready. And suddenly we said, no, pause. We paused, we put up this creative. We said, stay healthy, stay safe, stay tuned. It's important to empathize with your audience. We didn't turn and say, "Oh my God, our company band hone wali hai." We didn't turn and say, "Oh, we're so sorry." We first said, you stay healthy, you stay safe. So empathy is so critical with anything that you all do. The next thing was, we just got everybody in the room. This is our team. I mean, on top right is Murli, who came and did a quiz for us one day because I just wanted to excite the team. But these online discussions, we used to get the entire team, and this is just about half the team. There are about 17 people only at Commune. We started doing Monday morning meetings online for an hour. We started doing Excel sheets. Half this team, being artists, had never used an Excel sheet maybe. But we taught them कि हम आपको accountant नहीं बना रहे हैं, गणित नहीं सिखा रहे हैं, हम आपसे कह रहे हैं be accountable. So make plans for a week. So we started making weekly plans. And if you don't have an answer, ask your audience. You will never have all the answers. So this is what happened. We went, and when you said, where do I get these gems from? I get these gems by always being open to dialogue. I am always open for listening. If in the first 5 minutes of listening, I realize कि आप सिर्फ अपने आप को बेच रहे हो, then I switch off. Then I try very hard to escape those conversations. Sometimes I can, sometimes I don't. People who know me really well know that sometimes my eyes start glazing. They know, yeah, he's gone, he's left the room. Elvis has left the building. But that's how I am. So if I'm engaged in that conversation, just people will keep sharing ideas. I absorb like a sponge. I absorb everything. I read like a maniac. I listen. I watch. And एक बार आपने अपनी, फील्ड में फर्टिलाइजर डाल दिया है, पौधे बहुत सारे लगा दिए हैं, उसको सींच दिया है, फिर तो बहुत सारे प्लांट्स निकलने लगते हैं. So the minute we did this, we suddenly started trying small ideas. We did a quiz show with Gaurav Kapoor. We did a poetry session. We did doodling online. And this continued till again we were able to suddenly take some of our products online. This was about the podcast camp that we did. But we immediately said, why can't we do the same workshops online? And they were successful. And then we started evolving and we started producing audio, we started producing video. Now, Sheena Khalid is one of our members and she is a wonderful theater person. And one morning she said, yaar, theater ka kya hoga? And I said, what do you mean? She says, yaar, neither are the theaters opening, nor are people being able to gather. Now, if the two things that make theater happen are not happening, how will it happen? And I was like, no, people can gather online. So that's part one of the problem solved. You don't have a single stage where all the cast members can be together. So what if we wrote material that allowed people to be? What if right now I can create a play, which is a play called Interview with Jatin and all the people who want to apply to Whistling Woods. Ban gaya play. You must be able to find the content. You must be able to find the context. So we only changed the context. We said there is a girl who wants to be looking for a date online and she keeps meeting weirdos. That became the play. And people are loving that and that's why it's successful. So I'm saying that learn to collaborate, learn to empathize, learn to reach out and help people because that's what happens. We've also started something else called Staying Alive. We're not going to talk about that right now. But I just wanted to give you an idea of saying this is the process that one used. And this is the process I always use to come up with ideas, I think you're mute. I don't know whether you're muted.
Sorry, so that brings me to a very interesting question, Roshan. You've always done this, and I know about 2 decades ago, you coined this term, which says collaborate and don't compete. And you gave me a Roshanism, which was collaboration.
Yeah.
Can you explain to this young audience here how this is important in our current context when COVID or post-COVID or what will happen to the business? There is a lot of angst in everyone's mind saying, there'll be competition, there'll be so much, everyone running to the same client. So where does this collaboration come in current context?
So just to give you an example, everybody online you go online at 8 p.m. Jatin, the whole world is going live, right? Everybody's live. Musician is live, singer is live, DJ is live, storyteller is live, graphic, everybody's live. Now, each of them are technically competing for attention. But if 5 of them came together and created something, they would have the joy of everyone's combined audience. That is collaboration. You're collaborating. Tomorrow you'll go back to competing. There's no problem. Similarly, somebody just turned and said, do you think the big fat Indian wedding or corporate events or concerts will happen? Now, these are very different, right? So there's a person who has the skill set of weddings, somebody who understands how to do a concert, somebody who understands how to do a corporate event. Now, people are saying, kya karenge? Each of them have some skill set. Wedding people know how to create huge dreams. And their business, because it is seasonal, they've lost the summer season, but their October onwards, November business, I think will survive. God forbid if they lose that, then it'll be summer next year. But it's okay. It's not, yes, there will be a big dent. What do they have to offer? They understand venues really well. They understand places really well. They understand ceremonies really well. Can you take 5 people to tell you about the funniest weddings, get a content creator and create the competition to Made in Heaven as a show? Yes, very possible. Take the corporate event manager and say, what did you do? You engaged audiences. Now, I keep telling people there are new careers that will start tomorrow. You used to have a technical director of a play. If you see the poster of Lockdown Love, it lists me as the technical director because I am learning how to make it seamless online. So tomorrow people could earn 5,000 rupees an hour by being a great Zoom operator, but they must be able to do it better than you do it or I do it or anybody else is doing it here. They will make sure that they can play music under me, they can play graphics behind me. Like right now, I've just put this virtual background, but if I integrated a Snap Lens into the same conversation, I could change my face. I could change what I'm wearing. So multidisciplinary people will not need to compete, but come together. If you have nothing, if you had the one thing that you would be able to do is all the people who were doing business in this industry had clients. That client has a need. If nothing else, you can earn off the need. You just have the connect. Idea मेरे पास है, connection आपके पास है, मिला दीजिए. So we will go back to competing. Whiscraft, Fountainhead, 70, Encompass, we will all go back to competing maybe a year from now. But for a year, if we do not come together, we will perish. So that's when I talk about competition.
So there is this pertinent thing in my head, and everyone is talking about this. 30 years ago, when you and me started off, people looked at event managers as nach gaane wale ya tent wale, and the same thing was being told about the IT, AR, VR, mixed reality, virtual experience planners. So people were looking at them with the same glass, but suddenly now they've become the the blue-eyed boys of the business. Do you see virtual events as a temporary phase, or will it coexist with the live business, or will it take over the event industry completely?
So essentially, I was doing something with Kenny Sebastian on Saturday, which was a podcasting workshop. And when I was doing that, I asked him the same question about podcasting. Do you think podcast will happen? He said, sir, 10 saal pehle, jab main comedy karta tha na, I would be in a cafe and people would turn and say, will you please kindly shut up so we can drink our beer? Right? So when does change suddenly happen? You will never know. You must always be ready for change. Virtual, digital, etc. will come. Look at the plans of Jio. Look at what Jio is doing now with Facebook. You think virtual will not become bigger? Of course it will. Now that Reliance has entered it, please understand that it is the biggest business in the world. Okay, because it will be. Today you buy, there was a great campaign this year about people buying virtual clothes for Instagram. Not real clothes, right? Why waste money buying real clothes when I can buy a wardrobe which will contour to my body exactly, because half the time you're buying it to look good on Instagram. Yeah. Now, that is when digital comes together beautifully with a human need. The human need on Instagram is, I want to show off. I want to tell you how pretty I am, how beautiful the place I visited, how good the food I ate is, how beautiful my gym is, whatever, right? So technology combined with a human need will survive. Anything combined with a human need, and that is why events will survive. We are human beings. I mean, as I told you that after this, my need is going to be, yaar, kabhi Jatin ke saath baith ke chai peeni hai. Now, virtually, kab tak piyenge? 6 mahine piyenge, saal bhar, but at some point, you will need it. So, events will survive, digital will survive. The hybrid that addresses the need better and addresses it most frictionless, right? Today, when you go to an Amazon, you stopped even going to Google, because of Amazon mein hi jaake type karte ho, kya chahiye, wahin pe mil jata hai, nikal jate ho. This is the people just want you to stay engaged at one place. So frictionless ideas are the future, whatever the medium. But please spend time learning about VR, AR, bandwidth, Zoom, meeting software, graphic design, music. All of these are going to become huge as we go forward.
So you'll be happy to know that Whistling Woods has its own VR lab, and we have actually inculcated in the new curriculum an entire chapter on virtual events and virtual reality and mixed reality. Yeah. So that's something that we have initiated. But that comes to my next question, is that how is event education relevant, keeping in mind the volatile nature and the future of the business? How evolved does event education need to be? I mean, what should institutions or even educationists or practitioners who teach and practice the experiential business outside, how much do they need to keep upgrading themselves? I know you do a lot of it, so I wanted to come from you to tell people that it's not just I did a course a few years back, I got in the business and I'm practicing it, but they haven't updated themselves. So how important is it to keep refreshing? And most importantly, what is the relevance of education in especially our future and our business?
See, you know, when I'll go back to my student days. When I was doing mass communication in the first year, there was a teacher who used to teach us graphic design. And I was like, yaar, ye graphic design nahi चाहिए ना, मुझे तो film wala banna hai. I'm going to write scripts and shoot them and act and do whatever. And he would tell us to bring Jatin small pieces of black paper. So we'd have a black chart paper and we'd cut it into small bunches. And he would tell us to stick it on paper. And I'm like, what is this, yaar? Ye kya kar raha hu main, people, you know? And he would keep telling us about negative space in a frame and depth and creating depth and false depth and stuff, you know. And I was like, ye palle nahi pada yaar. Similarly, we had a sound studio where we would go and learn about 8-track, this button, you know. And again, as students, we sometimes reject what we learn, saying, "Arey yaar, kya, you know, Hawaii fire kar rahe." I later, I remember when I was shooting my film and I was standing and there was a frame which had just beautiful depth. And my cinematographer came and said, "Nahi yaar, देखो तुम्हें ये depth दिख रही है, लेकिन people won't see it because there are no objects. Let's place a couple of objects some distance from here." And I saw the frame change and I suddenly remembered what my teacher had told you. So number one, the fundamentals of education always keep you in good stead. One. Upgrading education is critical. Today, there is so much education that is available online. There are new courses. Don't get sold only by every digital course that is available online, because the engagement that a teacher makes is unique. Again, all my life, I have had education and I have a teacher who makes the education relevant. So please find great teachers who make your education relevant, because you can learn AR, VR, but if you don't learn its application, what's the point? I do think that some areas that experiential marketing, wedding, media, entertainment must focus on, and maybe the wedding space is the only one I would say can stay a little away from this, is just like digital has performance marketing, we need to find some level of performance marketing tools for events and experiential marketing. We have run away from it for years. I have always turned and said, no, we must be measurable. So today, I'll tell you, when I put up a post on Commune, I know how many people saw it, how many took an action from it, how many took a secondary action from it, how many registered, do they have a unique ID, blah, blah. So, you know, when I look at digital, I see it to be so robust that I can separate the lies from the truth. Unfortunately, a lot of traditional event management still exists because of the lies. You know, कितने लोगों ने देखा? बहुत लोगों ने देखा. तो क्या हो गया? What was the impact? Did it translate into sales? And this is why events are still looked at the lower end of the hierarchy. Events with measurement, events with call to actions, events with outcomes will definitely be a lot more necessary. So I'm saying teach them a little bit of performance marketing. Anybody who finds a tool by which I was seeing a video this morning about Israel having made a touchless kit for you to be able to look at your own, in your own house, you look at this tool and you check your temperature, you see your throat, you see your respiration, and that's the perfect device to check whether you have got the COVID virus or you don't. Now, somebody found a solution which is solving. So I'm saying there are so many problems in the event industry still to solve. We still take so much. India is a manpower intensive country, so we treat that very lightly. Go to the West and do a show. When we do shows abroad, we do so many shows abroad. The company will give you 3 people to manage the entire show because manpower is so valued and you're paying them per hour. So if you start looking, I mean, now imagine if you have to do events with less manpower, we will need to find smarter solutions, right? We will not be able to put 40 people into one tempo and say, go put up a set. So again, use this time, people, to find innovative solutions, you know, find context to the ideas, make your ideas more relevant, because that's what's needed.
So that brings me to a very interesting question, which I always wanted to ask you particularly, because you've been a promulgator of it. Best practices and global business management scenarios, because you've been there, done that. So Roshan, tell me how relevant, or rather, let me reframe this question for you. How important is the knowledge of best practices or global business management scenarios, or understanding trends and in networking in the industry? So when a student starts off into experiential business, what is the way forward for him to do this?
So see, again, as students, you've got two beautiful things on your side. When you ask questions, most people want to answer. As you go up the value chain, people don't want to answer questions because they think, "यार ये क्यों पूछ रहा है इसका इसमें क्या पकलू है?" You know, what are the person trying to fit? So number one, students don't lose the opportunity to ask questions, because when you ask questions, you get to know unique insights. So just to give you an example, when we joined WPP, we learned about projections. Now we would always tell them, say, no, the event management business, today you go, you get a pitch, tomorrow you will get something. They were like, no, you need to make quarterly predictions. Now, the reason behind it was because you have a certain amount of manpower, you have a certain amount of people who you're taking on, and you cannot treat this like the wild, wild west and go searching for McKenna's gold. You have to be able to. So, this financial projection was something that we learned. Similarly, I think global best practices are so important. Even cultural best practices are so important. Whether you do weddings, whether you do events, I can tell you, I have seen cultural issues crop up. For example, people going to certain cultures and dressing up in a manner. It's not a best practice, but it's an advisory. Today, there's an app that we all have in WPP, which actually, if you enter the app and you're traveling to any country, gives you, oh, this area is safe, this area is not safe, this is what's happening currently in the country, we advise you to dress this way, we advise you to stay hydrated. Experience is something that you can always pick up. I think global best practices are very, very important. And again, you know, a place like Whistling Woods, where you are able to get so many experts, people to come in and talk to people, is a great place for people to learn from these, which I think is very critical.
So now, something which is very close to my heart, and I think it's close to yours too, spoken. From a simple thought, it became one of the largest movements. Today, for the youth, especially the ones who've been following Commune, and especially the ones who've been following you, would vouch for this, that it's been one of the most outstanding, or rather unusual, IPs in the event space. I won't get into saying what made you talk about spoken, because you already spoke about your thought behind it. But what I want to take to the students, especially the people who are on this conversation, is that what are the rules of the IP game? What should be the do's and don'ts? How do you go about creating a unique property and still taking it out there and delivering it so successfully?
I'll quickly just tell that when you said about an IP, remember two things. One is, today when you create an IP, when everyone shouts, find a place where you can whisper. First thing, don't follow the bheed chal. Bahut ho gaya. We have 10 different film awards. Kitne banaoge? You have 5 EDM festivals. Unless you can find a differentiator, don't do it. B, IP is not a 1 year, 3 year game. It is a 20, 25 year minimum cycle. Minimum. It takes about 7 editions to make a IP profitable. We're in year 3 and we've just touched profitability, but not with all our editions. I mean, like our Bombay edition is now profitable. Delhi, we've just started. So these are important things to do. And remember, an IP is only what it is because of the audience, the community it creates. So live with that community, nurture that community, feed that community on a daily basis. Only then can you reap benefits. If you enter it thinking year 1, I'll get a sponsor, I'll make money. No, that's not an IP, that's an opportunist. IPs require a lot of love, a lot of patience, a big team, and that's what we've done so far. Aryan, thank you so much. I was reading your comment saying that was actually so good. Thank you so much. It's really nice, and love, it's good to see you there. I will try and answer your question once Jatin starts asking.
So we've got tons of questions here.
Sure.
Just going to open them up.
Sure.
So Hitesh says that, how do you handle a difficult situation or whenever you're under pressure? I've never seen you under pressure, so you need to answer this for everyone.
No. So I'll tell you, there have been times that I've had a lot of pressure. Earlier, there was early days, I used to get butterflies in my stomach. I used to panic and I used to go and pray. At some point, and I don't know when it happened, But you know, I think when the first spoken happened, when Gaurav and I were sitting, the gates were about to open, and he said, "क्या होगा?" I said, "यार, you know, अपनी तरफ से best कराए. अब जो होगा देखा जाएगा." So I feel that if you put your 100% into something, then you will really, then there is really no reason to panic. And if you always count till 10, always, before you shout, before you get angry, before you panic, count till 10 and immediately answer start. As I said, press the pause button. भागो नहीं. मेरा एक बहुत ही पुरानी एक कहावत थी जो मैं बहुत ज्यादा शोज में जब मैं होस्ट करता था कहता था कि जिंदगी की हर परिस्थिति में दो ही रास्ते आते हैं, भाग लो या भाग लो.
True.
तो भागो नहीं, भाग लो, participate, be a part of it. You'll always come out with learning.
Okay, there's a question from Jay who says, can you provide some examples of virtual events that are available?
So let me tell you, I mean, frankly, right now, this webinar is a virtual event. Its format is that of a webinar. I was doing an event for HP last Friday, 4,500 people on a Zoom webinar, 70,000 people on Facebook, a concert with a semi-classical artist. But I made sure that his sound was pristine, because on Zoom, the sound is not as good if you want to do an audio concert. So I have done my research and I figured a way to make the sound better. So this is an event that we did. If you see, there are a couple of concerts that have been happening. Unfortunately, many people are still doing press the button and perform, but I don't agree with that. If you want to see a virtual event, see our play. It's on. We now have a sponsor. So from next week, we will have a sponsored show of the play, India's first sponsored play online with the cast being paid money. My point is proved that that can happen. You want to see another virtual concert? 2 days ago, I forget the exact name, but I know there's a DJ called Travis Knight or Travis something. He performed in Fortnite, the game, and there were 10.5 million people concurrently in the game listening to the concert. This happened 2 months ago or something when Deadmau performed again in Fortnite. It was a virtual concert. FIFA as a game, when you play an online tournament nowadays, online gaming tournaments, virtual events. So there are so many virtual events. I mean, I can keep going on.
Wow. So there's an interesting question from Love Prashar, who says, does artists and event management companies need to reduce the pricing of services?
Yeah.
Especially in the current scenario, there are possibilities of huge reduction in marketing budgets of brands.
Yeah.
He's been getting a lot of rebuttals. So
yeah. So I'll tell you, Love, what you're saying, absolutely right. So let me tell you, artists have dropped their online prices to about 50% of their offline prices, unless their online presence is a lot bigger. So like, I don't think Priyanka Chopra's and the likes are going to drop their price because their online audience is much bigger than what they would get in an offline event. But smaller artists who have maybe 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 followers have reduced their influencer marketing prices. So the cost of a tweet or the cost of a story, etc., is all currently highly negotiable. Online pricing, Amit Tandon is a very good friend of mine, and Amit told me that, see, when people used to come and see me live, they used to buy 1,000 रुपए का ticket. मैंने realize करा कि 200 रुपए मुझे मेरी कॉमेडी के थे, 800 रुपए एक्सपीरियंस के थे. So he is saying, I'm not going to reduce my price from 1,000 to 200. Maybe I'll take it to 500, but I need to provide them 300 rupees worth of an experience. Which means, if Jatin is paying or buying a ticket and I say, Jatin, if you buy a 750 rupee ticket online rather than a 250 rupee ticket, I will actually mention you in my comedy. Now Jatin will decide whether he wants to be a super fan or a regular fan. So it's just playing with a person's mind. You can, if you understand various technologies, I could make you a panelist or I could make you a participant. Right now, Jatin and me are panelists on this webinar. Everyone else is an attendee. You cannot have your mic on till Jatin or I decide. But imagine if you paid 2,000 rupees and I allowed you to speak. So you will need to find the hybrid. But yes, 50% is the normal markdown that people are doing. Because see, if I am hosting a show today, I'm charging half the money I should charge. घर बैठ के कर रहा हूँ यार. 2 मिनट में कपड़े बदल के बाथरूम में हो जाता हूँ या बेडरूम में होता हूँ या खाने पे होता हूँ. मुझे तो बड़ा फायदा है. ना मुझे दूसरे शहर जाना पड़ रहा है, ना मुझे ट्रैवल करना पड़ रहा है. कभी कभार तो मैं वर्चुअल बैकड्रॉप के साथ कहीं भी चला जाता हूँ. So it's absolutely fine. I think we will need to find the pricing. That's important to do.
So Roshan, I particularly, okay, one second. There's one more last question which I can take in. This is a technical question. So I don't know whether you want to answer this, Roshan.
I can answer, don't worry.
How can you enhance audio on Zoom? We can't reach a sound vendor. So somebody, Ashwin has asked this saying, how can you?
So Ashwini, the idea essentially is that if you were to use Zoom, so Zoom gives you an option if you go below, which says share screen. And when it says share screen, it allows you who can share only host, only panelist. If you are allowed that option, it allows you to use a second camera, right? Now, when you use the second camera can have a software which you are using to record. If that particular software has been enhanced for sound, so right now, if you go online, there are various sound apps. Harman Kardon has an app, JBL has an app. If you use the sound via that app and lead it into Zoom, not using Zoom's native sound, you can get better sound. So that's one simple solution. There are many more. I'm offering consultancy, which is paid. You can always call me.
Roshan, I can't leave you from this webinar without learning or listening to some Roshanism. So what advice would you give to future event managers who are stepping out into the industry? What should they acquire in this period now till whenever COVID ends or decides to end? How does the community that is growing and getting into the business stay here for good?
Yeah. The next year is going to be a really trying, challenging year. If you were about to start right now, frankly, do not enter for the next 1 year for money. I do not think. I think we're all in survival mode. We're not in let's make tons of money mode right now. Okay. Brian Tellis said something very important 2 days ago where he said that if you are trying to get digital, there are 100 people who are already digital. So, who are you to suddenly go and say, I'm becoming a digital agency? You're not. You have to bring the power of live events. The power of live events is a couple of things. One is shared experiences. Second is transference of emotion. Yeah. If you can somehow manage to figure how to transfer emotions across a screen or create a shared value, and I can again tell you that's all I experiment with all the time. How does one do this? How does one do this? And I keep asking these questions and I keep going to practitioners of the arts and I get them together. So these are just some knowledge points. On the other side, I turn and say, for performers, this is the time to do one of two things: either be relevant or earn revenue. If you're very established, you will continue to earn revenue. The revenue numbers will keep changing. Otherwise, it will continue. Some of you may just be doing things for relevance, and 90% of people are getting live and doing stuff for relevance. लोगों को मुझे याद रखना चाहिए. As a performer, either go after relevance or revenue or both. As a startup or a person, innovate or incubate. Again, I keep saying this: innovate or incubate. You cannot do the same thing that you did before. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So do not have the wishful thing that, and I'm telling you this, 3 months from now, events are not going to happen. I can tell you right now, they cannot happen. Because till a vaccine or something is found, people are going to be scared of going out. They will choose where to go and they will say, boss, सब्जी लेने जा सकता हूं, डॉक्टर के पास जा सकता हूं, लेकिन एंटरटेनमेंट घर पे नेटफ्लिक्स देख लूंगा. You will have to create harder working products, online products, and partner with digital. Again, you don't know all the answers, reach out, ask. There are many other people who will collaborate and give you answers.
Roshan, this has been an eye-opener. I can't be more grateful to you on behalf of
Not at all, it's a pleasure.
It's been an absolute delight talking to you today, and thank you so much for making time. I know you've got the next webinar lined up immediately after this.
I know I do, actually.
But this is something which has been very close to our heart, and having on this forum today has been an absolute delight. So on behalf of Whistling Woods International School of Event Management, thank you so much for taking this time. We really appreciate that you came here today. And I'm hoping that you will be with us on other forums that we do in the future.
Again, I just go back to one last thing, which is that my parents always told me that knowledge is the one thing which when you share it, it only doubles. Kabhi kam nahi hoti hai. So keep doing it. Everybody keep doing it. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing, Jatin. It's lovely to see that you're taking charge and doing some great things. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully earn my MBA finally. But thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much, Roshan.